Hello, everybody. That is not my hand, by the way. Promise, look. We just didn't have enough time to actually put the hand in. My name is Siku. I think when I just walked in, I saw Dr. Gemf giving his talk. He's an ex-tutor of mine, therefore I'm an ex-student. And what do good ex-students tend to do? They tend to contradict their ex-tutors. Is the mark that you taught me well, sir? Good evening. Tonight, I am Moses. Try and beat that one. When we started off our project, that's right, by the way, that's to go forward. When we started off our project, we didn't know how successful we were actually going to be. And judging by the looks of you guys, I don't know how many of you are here in the hall, and I'm guessing you guys are children of Gomer. You guys are those guys who settled way beyond the lands of Iberia. And I find that you guys are worshiping the exact same God that we worshiped back then. I am making a calculated guess that we were quite successful. Now, it's been 400 years of living in slavery. Now, from your own perspective, you think this 2 million strong ex-slaves were a well-cultivated lot. They understood the traditions of their father Abraham. But you will be very far from the truth if you made that assumption. They were a 2 million strong rabble. The traditions of our fathers, of Abraham and Jacob, is a distant echo. And Aaron and I, we now have to rehabilitate this rabble. It's a question of, now that we have love, now that we have freedom, what are we going to do with it? Now that we have love, now that we have freedom, what are we going to do with it? 400 years. A story that's quite similar to those Ethiopians who traveled into distant lands after 400 years of slavery and this freedom. The same question. Now that we have love, now that we have freedom, what are we going to do with it? But notice another parallel here. That distant echo from Jacob, from Abraham, which we now had to now bring in, we have to now socialize this group. I'm finding that you guys are facing exactly the same situation. Your fathers once knew the gospel, but now that gospel is a distant echo. And now you're now having to do exactly the same job that I did way back then. If you look at those placards up there, what were those common issues? End segregation in public schools, jobs now, freedom, voting rights, and stuff like that. In a way, when you are an ex-slave, you no longer have value. It means now that you have freedom, actually life isn't going to get better, it's just going to get a little worse. It means that you have rampant lynchings because if you were a slave, you were owned by someone else, so you had value. But now you're a slave, you're fair game. Game in the literal sense. Well, we were game out there in the plains. The entire 2 million strong, new birthed nation, not knowing exactly what a nation's supposed to do, we were game for the kingdoms of the plains. 10 of them all came rampaging at us. The very same issues. Now that we don't have any rights anymore, now that we are not owned by anyone, now that we have no value, what do we do? There is a popular narrative, a narrative of empire and of power. That is that little people don't really matter. If you're a slave, you're fodder, you can be disposed of very easily, and they can always get a new one. Just as we fought for freedom back then, you guys have actually had to fight for something quite similar back here. The suffragettes, for example, fighting for the rights to just do a simple little thing as a vote. It's kind of like a hostile space. The hostile space that we experienced as slaves, and now that we have freedom. But it's not just a hostile space in terms of the socioeconomics. It was a spiritually hostile space with a spiritually hostile narrative. A narrative that excluded those that didn't have anything, and then those who had a stake in the powers that be. Those people wrote the popular narratives. Talking about hostile narratives, you guys have the Hulk. The Hulk just gets bigger when he gets angry, doesn't he? Your superheroes do good. But back in our time, our superheroes weren't the good guys. Our superheroes were the gods who warred with each other. They were liars and cheats and thieves, and they betrayed each other. The leading god was the dragon of old, and she dominated the entire pantheon of the gods. Eventually, there was a losing side, and that losing side was taken into captivity. Her son decides to take over, Murdoch himself, and he defeats her, tears her in two, makes one part of her the heavens and the second part the earth, frees those gods who were imprisoned, and then made human beings to become the new slaves, the new slave race, the new fodder race. Now that's what these guys used to believe back then. Now who would believe a bunch of crap like that? Now, I'm allowed to say crap because I am not an evangelical. I'm a Semite, a hot-blooded Semite at that. That means I can pretty much say what I feel without getting into any trouble. I don't have a scientific mind like you lot, and I do not categorize like you lot. So if I'm going to make an argument, I wouldn't use the same tools that you guys use. I would not be using logic. I'd rather be using story and narrative. So now what do I do with narrative and with story? I plagiarize. Well, you guys call it plagiarize. I borrow. I commit subterfuge. I beg. I steal. I borrow. I compromise. I compromise. I don't compromise my principles. I compromise their stories. And by doing that, by compromising their narrative, and by plagiarizing and changing the terms of debate, I win that debate. That's how I communicated with my people in my generation facing exactly the same problems that you guys faced. Now, what was the clarion call of the old school, of the empire? It was human beings were rubbish. That's exactly what the religion was about. If Murdoch tore up his mum, made the heavens and the earth out of her body parts, freed those loser gods who were in prison, made further human beings to become slaves, it simply means you human beings are rubbish. And that mantra holds true till today. We see exactly the same situation in Greece, where the austerity call remains strong, regardless of the hardships that the people go through. Every time a group of people have power, they use that power to suppress and destroy the many. That story has not changed, except one thing. Our story has become louder as we find better ways of saying what we need to say. We are able to change the minds of many. Now, if you look at our placards again, at what we were protested at, it was what? Worshipping sticks suck. You see, unlike you guys, with your Hulk and Superman and Batman, hey, back in our time, we worshipped those guys. These guys will worship anything. If it moved, they would worship it. If it didn't move, they worshipped it too. So we said, The resume of the gods is a lying resume. We said worshiping sticks suck. We said human beings are not fodder. They're not something to be thrown away and disposed of. I coined a little saying. God made man in his own image. In his image, he created man, created he, him. Male and female, created he, them. You remember what Jesus Christ said about little children singing at marketplaces? We sang happy songs, you wouldn't be happy. We sang sad songs, you wouldn't be sad. We took the songs of children. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. We took little songs and we made theology out of it. We challenged, we provoked, we made people cry, and we made people angry. And that was how we won people over. That was how my untelevised revolution became a revolution that has affected you guys that live in lands far beyond what I could have imagined in my time. Thank you very much.